today to talk about Tokyo Ever After by Emiko Jean. This is a YA contemporary with a fairy tale kind of story to it. It is about an 18-year-old girl named Izumi. She has lived with her mom her whole life. It's just been her and her mom. She doesn't know who her dad is. Her mom says her dad was a one-night stand while she was in college. They live in Mount Shasta, California, which is NorCal, like up near Redding, if you know anything about California geography. Izumi has a group of friends. They call themselves like the Asian Girl Gang because in the very, very white Northern California area, they stand out for being various different Asian nationalities. In any case, the book starts out very quickly. Like, we get to the meat of the story very quickly because the whole point of this book is that Izumi discovers that her dad is actually the Crown Prince of Japan, and it wasn't a one-night stand. It was that her mom had a kind of thing with him when they were both at Harvard. I can appreciate how quickly we get into the story, how basically what happens is, in the very first chapter, Izumi and her friend find an inscription in the cover of one of her mom's books. It's a semi-racy poem, and it has a signature and a date. And the date, 2003, is the year Izumi was born, so, it's kind of like they're putting two and two together there. The friend goes and does some digging and finds out who the signature is. And then almost immediately, well, I shouldn't say that. So Izumi confronts her mom. Her mom, admits to it, says she's not in touch with the Crown Prince anymore, obviously, but there's, a mutual friend in, Stockholm, and she gives Izumi that guy's email, and for a couple of weeks, Izumi doesn't hear anything, but then one day she comes home, and the Japanese ambassador from DC is there, and she's going to Japan. Now, I had some issues with the events. I know this is a fantastical story, obviously. We're not looking for, reality here too much, but I was like, yeah, that's kind of not how that would go. The press would not know already, who leaked this or whatever. Although, I guess later on, some other stuff is leaked, and I guess we can assume that person leaked the information that allowed the press to show up at Izumi's house in California. I don't know. That's not really addressed. What we get is Izumi going to Japan, trying to see if she fits in better there than she ever did in California. She looks like she belongs there, but can her manners and it's a very fish out of water, but maybe it's the right water now. Maybe the fish was in the wrong water before. I don't know. I liked this story, but I didn't love it. I wanted to love it. It's very voicey. It's Izumi, it's all told from Izumi's point of view, first person. So, but it didn't. It had the sarcasm and the Izumi. First of all, a lot of short, choppy sentences. The flow wasn't always there, and then also there was always one or two sentences more than was necessary. I think we needed just an edit that took out maybe the last sentence or two of almost every paragraph. The overstating or there was something about that didn't work for me. Izumi made some choices that, look, she doesn't pretend to be brilliant. She talks about herself as aggressively average, which is basically what I considered this book as well. But some things I'm just do you pay any attention to what's going on around you, or do you have any just basic common sense or logic? she falls for a trick by, there are these two mean twin cousins who, she falls for a really obvious trick by, and like, it's kind of glossed over her thought process there, and I was just like, why? I don't know. It just bothered me how stupid she was in that moment. And then, of course, there's the love story, which is that Izumi and her Imperial Guard, Akio, are falling for each other. And that's cute, I guess, too. At first she hates him, and it's more strident than it needs to be for somebody who's just trying to keep her on schedule or whatever, like, and she's just like, he's the worst or whatever. And it was overblown, the dislike, and then kind of overdone the romance too. Like, it just nothing felt genuine in a way that hit me in the heart. You know what I mean? Like, I think the best parts of the book were when Izumi is talking with her father, getting to know her father, sharing things with her father. Those were, I think, the strongest elements in the story. Everything in the book's very predictable. It's very rote, very paint by numbers story here. There's not the big twist is something that anybody who pays attention to books ever would see a million miles away. But yeah, I mean, I gave it 2.6. Like, it's again, aggressively average. There's another one. I wouldn't say I wouldn't read a second book in this, but I wouldn't be in any hurry to pick it up either. I mean, it was a great book for sitting outside and reading, because it doesn't, it's not a heavy story here. It's just, it's a fine page turner type thing. But yeah, that is my overall look at the book. If you've read it, let me know your thoughts. I picked it up at the used bookstore because I had heard of it. I had friends who, again, liked it. Maybe didn't love it, but they had liked it. And, I'm still really wanting to take my trip to Japan that was supposed to happen in 2020 and hasn't happened yet. That was the other thing that kind of bothered me. Like, Izumi, who talks about how she feels like she's got no, like, roots, because it's just been her and her mom. Her mom's parents died before Izumi was born, so she never knew them. Like, she's never learned any Japanese because her great-grandparents who came after World War II quit speaking it entirely. But I'm like, you didn't have any amount of curiosity. Like, you didn't go learn anything about Japanese culture. You didn't learn a few words, because she goes to Japan not knowing any Japanese, and I'm like, come on. If you're telling me you felt like you've always, like, wanted to belong, or you've always wanted to know this culture or whatever, and then you're saying, but you never had the amount of curiosity to go look anything up, because when they find pictures of the Crown Prince, they make this big deal about how much Izumi looks like him, and she's very obviously, his daughter. And I'm like, you never looked up Japan? Nothing? Really? I don't know. That beggared belief for me. And then again, like, I feel like they would have very quietly done the DNA testing before they were like, oh, you are his daughter. We're going to invite you to Japan. Like, they would not have thrown her into all of the social activities, the limelight. They would not have done that quickly. Like, I just feel like, again, it all was to serve the story, obviously, but some of what happens, like, she goes to Japan for 2 weeks and they're like, yeah, and you're gonna go to the Prime Minister's wedding, and I'm like, really? I don't know that they would do that, but okay. Anyway, enough. If you've read it, let me know your thoughts. If you've read the second one, let me know if it's worth it. Should I read it? Like, I didn't hate this, but I don't know. Izumi, she's fine. I just want to slap some sense into her, I guess. But anyway, right now I just picked up the God of the Woods. I know that that's one that people seem to either really love or hate. I'm literally only like 20 pages in, so we'll see how it goes. But yeah, and until next time, take care.